Welcome back to Sports World. The sport of sailing is often regarded as something of a rich boy's sport, particularly when you take into account the money involved in the prestigious America's Cup. But there's another side to yachting, a side where those aspiring to be among the elite battle away with limited funds, like young Malaysian TIFFANY Khoo. She's recently had the opportunity to sail against the world's best, and now she wants more. Wayne Hay caught up with her.
From America's Cup helmsmen to world champions, they're tough, hard-nosed skippers at the very top of their game. This is the very serious business of the world match racing circuit. Thrown in among all the wind and spray at the Monsoon Cup in Malaysia was the always smiling face of a local.
The whole event here is a learning curve for me. I mean, this guy is like top in the world, and like me, I'm like somewhere at the bottom. Yeah, racing against that, and I feel proud about it. Yeah.
When she wasn't learning, TIFFANY Khoo was pinching herself. Everywhere the 23-year-old looked on and off the water, she was surrounded by her heroes. But she didn't come for autographs, she came to race, and the results weren't what she dreamt of.
So we are 90 kilo below, and we're actually struggling with the weight, and our crew is not strong enough. Yeah.
She went through the regatta without a win. Most of her time was spent chasing the opposition around the racecourse just off Kuala Terengganu on Malaysia's east coast. But to put it into context, this was only her third match racing regatta. Her background is fleet racing, sailing professionally for a wealthy businessman in Hong Kong. But her taste of head-to-head match racing has her wanting more.
I think match racing is much more fun because, you know, it's like, two boat, and then we just get the result right away, and it's quite challenging. Yeah, but the problem that I'm having is I'm lack of sponsorship. Yeah, so if let's say I get the sponsorship, I think I'll just move on to match racing.
Khoo won the right to sail in the Monsoon Cup by winning the Malaysian Championship. But as she found out, the step up from sailing against Malaysia's best to the world's best was a big one. TIFFANY Khoo is certainly under no illusions. She knows she's in a completely different league to the big guns of world sailing. What she is doing, though, is paving the way in a sport that in this part of the world struggles for any sort of recognition and struggles to get young people to take it up. Top-level yachting in Malaysia is in its infancy. While the Monsoon Cup has developed into a world-class event with a purpose-built facility, sailing talent is thin on the ground. The driving force behind the regatta says having Khoo on the water, mixing it with the best, is a giant leap forward.
You know, TIFFANY is really a gem and a credit to her sport. She's a good sportsman, she competes well, and you know, it really doesn't matter what the result is for her. She's in there. It's a yardstick of where the nation is and where it has to get to, and it's here in the flesh. So, you know, all kudos to TIFFANY. She's a great kid, and we wish her well.
Khoo hopes her exposure to the big time will lead to bigger and better things, like the Olympic Games. Women's match racing has been confirmed in the program for London 2012.
Last time my dream is to sail on the Olympic for the laser radio, but I can't make it because of my height and my weight, because all the girls are actually taller than me and a lot. Yeah. So if let's say they put match racing and I think the Malaysian have to, you know, start training up more girls so that I can have some more crews here.
While the results may hurt at the moment, TIFFANY Khoo is soaking up the experience. When she's not on the water getting a first-hand look at the world's best, she's still watching, still learning. By the time the London Olympics roll around, she'll have plenty of knowledge to call upon, and her enthusiasm for the sport she loves may well have rubbed off on other Malaysian women. Wayne Hay, Al Jazeera, Kuala Terengganu, Malaysia.
Now, take an animal carcass, 100 or so men on horseback, and you've got Afghanistan's answer to polo. It's called buzkashi and dates back to the time of Genghis Khan. It's clearly not a sport for the faint-hearted, but as Al Jazeera's Nazanin Moshiri found out, Afghanistan's national sport is just as popular in 2008 as it was in the 11th century.
These are some of the toughest competitors on earth. Buzkashi is all about strength and skill. The horses and their riders crowd around a calf carcass killed a day earlier. The aim of this national sport, to pick up the carcass and drag it around the field, forcing their way past their opponents. Mohammed Hussein may be in his 60s, but still gets on his horse every week. Although these days he leaves it to his sons to go for the prizes.
My family have fallen in love with it. First, it was only me playing it, but when my sons saw that I was respected, they also started to play. All my sons are educated, but they all play bushaki too.
These are the sport's patrons, the rich businessmen and elders of Mazar. Sitting on the sidelines, they rent the riders out and pay the cash prizes. One of Mohammed's sons has just won $100, a month's wages for many.
This horse is called Waziri. It's only 3 years old. It'll take another 4 years of hard training before it's ready to play Buzkashi. Once it's fully trained, though, it could cost up to $60,000.
Buzkashi horses are so prized they can cost a fortune. This is Shahzada, or the horse of princes. He belongs to a local businessman who was offered $300,000 for it.
No horse in the whole of the north has the same body as this horse. Everything about this horse is fantastic.
The rider must have absolute trust in his horse. This is a dangerous game. Broken arms and legs are a common injury. They're heavy garments and leather boots worn to protect themselves. For the Afghan men who brave the cold and dust to watch their favourites battle it out, it's a way of escaping the realities of life.
There are sports for people all over the world. This is our sport. Therefore, we are here in the cold watching it.
Buzkashi has been played in these fields for hundreds of years. For the owners, the players and their fans, it's clearly far more than just a game. It's a way of life. Nazneen Mashiri, Al Jazeera, Mazar-e-Sharif, Northern Afghanistan.
And finally, congratulations to the New York Giants for their surprise victory in the Super Bowl at the end of what's been a remarkable American football season. But they weren't the only winners at the Super Bowl. And as Al Jazeera's Brendan Connor reports from Phoenix, Arizona, the event showcased a genuine success story for many of the area's indigenous people.
Arizona, land of the Grand Canyon, rugged beauty, and this year the land of the Super Bowl. While it is a national championship game and a party, the Super Bowl is also a huge corporate event where major companies seek profile and product recognition. Amid the commercialism, though, was perhaps an unexpected player in the big money sponsorship game. The American Native Indian tribe called Fort McDowell YAVAPAI Nation is just outside Phoenix and regularly performs shows for visitors, highlighting native dance routines and traditions. This tribe, though, recently answered the call from the Arizona Super Bowl host committee to put up $1 million to become a major sponsor and to help pay for the staging of the event.
From the very beginning, it has been part of our strategy to involve the Native American nations that we have here in Arizona, both from a cultural, historical point of view, but also as part of today's Arizona economy. So it's not just looking backwards. They are players in our economy, and in fact, the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation was our first $1 million partner with the host committee. So it has been part of our strategy from the beginning.
I think they wanted to include Native Americans because 29% of the land in Arizona is Native American land. There's 22 tribes here. Therefore, I think it went hand in hand, and I'm very thankful that the Super Bowl host committee, the powers to be, made the decision to go ahead and include Indian tribes.
The Fort McDowell tribe, unlike many in America, is currently awash in money, thanks to profits from several business ventures they have undertaken in the last 15 years. It started with, and continues to be led by, a gambling casino outside Phoenix.
We were able to take a small bingo operation, evolve it, and take the profits from it and reinvest it into our community, into our people, where you see our children going to graduating at a 99% graduation rate. So they're staying in school to get educated because they know that education is the foundation, the gateway to greater and better things, that they can then step out and start leading a lot of these businesses, start taking part in ownership within and enroll within their government and within the enterprises itself.
The 900 members of the Fort McDowell YAVAPAI Nation get regular payouts from the tribal government. It's their share of the money brought in from the gaming and other business enterprises. It also goes to pay for services on the reservation. The reservation police force, for example. A 30-member reservation fire department, an ambulance service, and the tribe's own justice courts, all built and paid for from the profits of a casino on their land. Money that also made them able to afford to be major sponsors of Arizona's staging of the Super Bowl. But they want to stay humble and rooted all the same.
The balancing act is a challenge for those tribal leaders. Okay, we have money now. How do we promote today's society, continue to make money, but yet remember our roots and our identity, who we are as YAVAPAI people?
This is the second time Phoenix has hosted the Super Bowl, and organizers say it generated some $400 million for the local economy.
Well, that kind of economic impact is difficult to measure because it's based on expectations of return visits by tourists or businesses someday relocating here. One thing that is measurable and is certain is that the casino business is booming, and there's an appetite for gambling that seems constant. As a result, the Indians that live on this reservation are cashing in, and their lives are better for it. Much better, in fact, than many Indian tribes in this country. Brendan Connor, Al Jazeera, outside Phoenix, Arizona.
OK, don't forget to have a look at our website, aljazeera.net/English, where you can find all the latest sports news, watch any of our Sports World stories again, and please let us know what you think of the show. But that's it for this edition of Sports World. I'm Karthi Gnanasegaram. You're watching Al Jazeera.